All right, so thank you very much, and I hope the screen is visible. We are going to discuss about the disaster and technology, where the main focus will be the interface of science, policy, and the society. What are the challenges, what are the advances, and how we can improve over the time, explicitly in case of disaster and technology. So I'll start with my favorite slide, which tells us the technological growth nowadays, it is exponential, whereas the human growth is linear. So that is one takeaway to understand why we question that technology is there, it is growing over the time. The technology power is increasing and the cost is reducing over the time. So that is the meaning of exponential technology. But still the gap, a significant gap we can notice when it comes to the technology to deliver solutions at a societal scale. And further, you can think about why this gap is increasing over the time, and it can be case specific as well. All right, so now we'll try to understand first, now we'll try to understand first what is science policy interface. So it is a complex phenomena, and if we try to simplify it, then it is a communication between information production and the information use. So the information production means the science, and the information use is the policy or policy makers and scientists. So it is a communication between science and policy. And now when we talk about communication, always there are uncertainties related to misunderstanding, miscommunication, communication gap, and so on. And similarly, we can see the same relation here between science and policy also. So in science and policy, the level of technical details and advice, what is the level of technical detail, that is one uncertainty. And second one is the degree of scientific uncertainty itself. When we talk about the experiment, particular scientific experiment, and the scale of that particular experiment. All right, so now one more aspect we need to understand further. When we talk about science and policy, both are power driven. Whereas the power for science is the knowledge, power comes from for the science from the knowledge, and for the policymakers, the power is the power from the power itself is the decision-making power because of the elective members, or the power from the society comes to the decision makers. And now when the science is also driven by the power, and the decision making from the policy makers is also driven by the power, whereas the power context is different. Now there is a certainty of conflicts related to negotiation or reconciliation, and that leads to the gap. So that leads to the gaps between the science and the policy interface, and how we can address them. So to generalize, some of the aspects are there related to collaboration, co-production, coherence, continuity. Again, we can go to case basis, and we can evaluate further science policy interface in case of pandemic, in case of particular disaster, and then we can evaluate how much collaboration was successful, was it co-produced or not, continuity is there or not. So these factors can be evaluated further based on the particular case. Now, understanding the science policy interface and what is the mechanism behind that, coming to some of the success stories of technology and tools in disaster management. And when we talk about the science and science policy and society, so it is one example of science, society, and policy is community-based disaster risk reduction. And on the screen, we can see this is a classical example where technology and different tools are being used in disaster management, and has advanced the community-based disaster risk reduction over the time. And different phases are also covered: pre-disaster and post-disaster. So in pre-disaster, different set of technology is there which can connect the community, and we can deliver the better services. And the same way in the post-disaster scenario also, what kind of technology we can use, such as social media, though social media can be used in pre-disaster phase also and post-disaster also, and some of the established recognized interface like HOT, TomNode, OSM, OpenStreetMap, Bing Map, participants who are actually working in GIS related technologies must be aware about this. So these are the technology and the tools in disaster management space. Now, since we understood what is science policy interface, what are the applications in disaster management. Now coming to the question that what is the gap between science and policy, and how it, what are the constraints and the uncertainties which induce the science policy gap. Now coming to the, so there are two different components. One is the social learning and another one is the social action. So most of the constraints and the uncertainty sources in science comes at the social learning phase, where the constraints related to knowledge creation, social investment, and the knowledge transmission, different constraints are there. Once this phase is over, it leads to another phase, to the social action. And the challenges in social action are science is most of the time compete with belief system, because the traditional belief systems are based on unscientific knowledge some of the time, and which leads to again the competition or a friction between the science and the belief system. So these are some of the constraints we can notice which leads to the science policy gap at the societal level. Now coming to further to understand this gap, let's take one example. When we talk about the scale of the science, okay, so if the scale is increasing over the time, the complexity and the uncertainty is also increasing. And in case of disaster management, if we see, it mostly lies at this place, okay, related to the modeling, uncertainties, taking different data sets, and then doing prediction and the estimation and all. So for example, let's say if we want to understand the toxicity of particular element on particular organ of human body, then it is having strong interferences. Already we are having the scientific advances and the hypothesis also already tested. Now if we increase our scale towards let's say what are the impacts of tobacco, though they are well known, but what part of tobacco or what component is affecting which part and all, that is that increase the uncertainty or increase the question in science further. Now coming to the larger scale compared to tobacco, when we talk about acid rain, then there are uncertainties again, questions like why it is happening, how it is happening, what will be the impact, how it is contributing to the climate change, and so on. And similarly, when we further go for the modeling, and we work on already developed global climate models, we try to downscale them on a regional scale, and then these hypotheses are mostly untestable and the inferences is weak. Okay, now we'll see this in case of our ongoing pandemic. Now if we see the vaccines, it is an example of experimental science, okay, which is having tested hypothesis and strong interference. Whereas if we go to the COVID-19 virus itself, how it is attacking, how it is behaving in the comorbidity situation and so on, so it is increasing further complexity and uncertainty. Now coming to the next level, which is the different variants, okay, the mutation is happening in the virus leading to different variants, okay, and how again they are behaving in different human bodies, that again leads to the different scale of uncertainty. And coming to that in relation to modeling aspect, if we talk about the geographical propagation of COVID-19, let's say first wave, second wave, third wave, that is again it is untestable hypothesis, though we are using different set of models, mathematical models to predict the various propagation of COVID-19. But at the same time, we need to understand the uncertainty scale is also increasing at the same time. So after understanding this, if we increase the scale, and mostly in case of disasters, we are at this level, okay, where the gap is increasing over the time. We talk about, let's talk about any case of disaster. Most of the time, uncertainty is higher as compared to the experimental science. So now if we compare It is about the present view is scientific knowledge envelope is partially overlapped with policy decision space. Again, then different contexts are there why that gap is there. And the proposed view is we should work towards minimizing that gap over the time. And that work can be in terms of advancing the science and then delivering the science to the society. And so let's discuss about one classical example of science policy society in disaster, where the science is related to the monitoring of particular data. Monitoring particular data, modeling and interpreting something. And then that interpretation goes to ground level assessment of risk and hazard, and then it leads to the political decisions. Now the question is the political decision is supported by science-based evidence or not? That again may reduce the gap if it is driven by the science-based evidence, or it may increase the gap if it is not driven by the science-based evidence. Similarly, then it comes to the public. So this is the classical interface of science, policy, and society, where we talk about wherever we can uncertainty can come into the picture. So at different level, at starting from the monitoring to the political decision, at various steps you can see there is a probability of uncertainty, and our focus should be to reduce the uncertainty by following different set of frameworks considering the particular problem. All right, and yeah, so now this is a recent literature case study where the researcher explored the difference between the knowledge producers and the knowledge users. So this is also a key takeaway to understand the gap between the producers and the users. If we go to the producers, most of the producers, let's say, take a first point. So even researchers, they formulate research questions without input from internal external colleagues. So it is like independent science. And if we compare it with the knowledge users, most of the time, whatever science we are producing or the researchers are producing, the users or the policy makers, they generally rely on the government reports as information source. That is one key difference. Similarly, we can notice other differences also between the producers and the knowledge users. So I'm not going to go through all the points, but the key takeaway is whatever science we are producing, that is not reaching to the users because there is a gap between the understanding and the delivering of particular knowledge product. So let's say there is a gap between you are doing good science, but you are not able to communicate it because your media is different and the media is used by the knowledge user is different. So such kind of differences we can find out now also in researchers, in knowledge producers and the knowledge users, that we need to try to address. And how we can do that? To understand that, how we can do that, one case study will take here, but similarly you can relate various case studies and go on to improve the existing gap in science, policy, and society. So let's say
you will need to wind up in soon.
Yes, ma'am. Just 1 minute. Yeah, sure. Thank you. So let's say if we are inferring about case of volcano, or you can consider any other disaster also. So when we talk about the understanding of the researchers, so geographical variation in the resources and expectation of volcanologists or other emergency managers. Now, if we see there is a gap in that, so how we can address that? So sensitivity and respect between scientists is critical in a crisis, because when we talk about disaster, we have very limited time to act upon. Similarly, next one is the variation in identification with local, political, economical challenges, and how a particular researcher is behaving emotionally to these responses. Okay, and what is the solution for that? Awareness about such possibilities is needed. Maybe we need to develop different training programs which can improve the awareness about such situations. Similarly, we all must agree that decision heavily depend upon science when we talk about science. but it is easy to blame the scientists for poor decision, even when it was not done explicitly, because disaster always comes with different set of complexity and variables. So science can also behave poorly. The decision based on science also can behave poorly. So at that time, the role should be clearly delineated. Uncertainty in scientific advice has to be communicated. So these are some of the strategies to reduce the gap. Another one is again depends from particular country to country and region to region, the complex hierarchy of political system, and the training for the scientists should be in that sense that they are aware about the government structure all the time while working in disaster management scenario. So I'll just conclude with giving you few thoughts to all the participants. Uh, One is it science driven technology or technology driven science? Next one we can think about in our free time is technology applied science? Can we use technology as a synonym to applied science, or is there any difference? And next one, can it possible that technology come into practice even before exploring the science of it? So these are some of the questions. In our free time, we can explore the answers about these questions. So these are some of the reference readings, and thank you very much.